I mean, it's... Patrick, do you understand how serious this situation is? This is, I mean, no one wants to be
serious for the person in the back of the ambulance.
I think it's more serious, actually, than that. You know, we're heading towards serious societal collapse, the way that things are going, right? When you get extreme weather events, you get crop failure, you get people die, you get societal collapse.
We really are just asking the government to commit to no new oil and gas licences. It's in line with the United Nations, the International Energy Agency. We're not asking for anything really radical.
We are doing this because we're in the middle of a climate crisis and we have to act. Now,
not to be over melodramatic, but it is like a suicidal death project. We know that. If you listen to anyone from the United Nations, the IPCC report, from the International Energy Agency, they're all saying we need to stop oil now, we need to transition. So why aren't the government doing it?
Well, of course, most of the climate scientists, you say, but that isn't true. Of this so-called survey of climate scientists of 12,000 papers, only 0.3% of them actually stated that they, from their work, that manned CO2 had been the cause of warming. The other papers said nothing at all.
It's a singular honour to be asked to deliver this annual lecture of the Global Warming Policy Foundation, and I'm pleased that so many of you have been able to come tonight. I would hope to be able to inform, educate and entertain you in the way that the BBC wouldn't on certain aspects of what I'm going to say tonight. I make no apologies for the stream of hard data that I will put before you as I make my argument. And I also appeal straight away that if you see any proven error of fact anywhere in anything I say, please inform me immediately. I have no interest in promulgating half-truths or falsehoods, which characterise so much of the debate these days.
It's interesting, when the UN report came out August 9th, Guterres said, as I mentioned, code red for humanity. When you search all 3,949 pages of that report, written by a couple hundred scientists over 3 years, you don't find the words existential threat, climate catastrophe, climate disaster at all. You find the words climate crisis exactly once, and that's not a scientific finding, but it is in reference to the way in which the media have amped up their coverage.
The worst thing is, these juvenile Just Stop Oil protester pawns, whilst they're busy blocking ambulances and stopping children from attending their parents' funerals, they don't even know who funds them. Who funds you guys?
Just donations from the public. Yeah.
Right. Do you know that Just Stop Oil has taken massive donations from, oil dynasties such as Jean-Paul Getty? Do you know that? Sorry?
No, it's massive.
No, it has. Do you want me to show you?
No, we're not.
You are. I've just told you. You're funded by the Climate Emergency Fund in LA, of which the majority of them are heirs to oil dynasties, including Jean-Paul Getty.
I'll have a sensible debate about climate science and the climate crisis and the just energy transition, but there's no point if you're just going to throw mud that doesn't make any sense.
I'm telling you facts. How's that mud? Look, this is your favourite newspaper, The Guardian. Just Stop Oil's spring uprising protest funded by US philanthropists. LA-based Climate Emergency Fund donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to activists. They include Jean-Paul Getty, whose oil dynasty made him a multi-billionaire.
They literally had no clue.
The extent of the sea ice, and this is from the National Snow and Ice Data Center from the University of Colorado, showing the levels of sea ice in the Arctic in 1995 compared on the same day, 24th of May, compared to 24th of May 2022. And basically, there's no trend of decline over the last 15 years. I mean, the expert Al Gore predicted that there'll be no sea ice.
You can't... This is ridiculous. So May, you've taken 1 day in May, you've taken 2 days, and you're trying to establish what the trend is.
It's a trend.
The trend can't be told from 2 single days. It's like me saying today is warmer than yesterday, therefore it must be warming, or if tomorrow's cold.
Bob, the ice doesn't disappear and reappear again day in, day out. It's a long-term trend.
Yeah, so if you look at when September is when Arctic sea ice gets to its lowest point. It goes through a refreezing and a melting point. This September was the 10th lowest area of sea ice on record part of a trend. It's not every single year lower.
But it's recovering,
but
isn't
the
it,
trend,
Bob? No, it's not. The trend is recovering. The low point was 2000. Bob, the National Snow and Ice Centre.
I suggest you look at, put on the screen now the trend showing the area of sea ice. If you show that, go to the National Sea and Ice Data Centre, show the graph, it's down.
Policies ultimately express values and priorities. With respect to energy and climate, we need to consider risk tolerance, intergenerational equity, geographical equity, and so on, but they must be informed by a clear picture of the scientific certainties and uncertainties. So let's have a look at what some of our current policymakers say about the science. The first day in office, President Biden issued an executive order and said, I'm going to listen to the science. Over here on this side of the pond, we have your PM saying recently it's 1 minute to midnight on that doomsday clock, and we all need to act now. In August 9th, when the UN released its most recent scientific assessment, AR6 as it's called, Secretary General Guterres said it's code red for humanity and billions of people are at immediate risk. And over mostly in the States, you have people talking about existential threat, climate crisis, climate catastrophe, climate disaster, and so on. Not only Mark Carney, who is perhaps familiar on this side of the pond, but also my good friend Ernie Moniz, who was Secretary of Energy in the second Obama administration, of course, Bill Gates, and so on. And then in the US, importantly, the leadership of the Pentagon, General Lloyd Austin, has elevated climate crisis to an existential national security threat, which means we better take it seriously. Where are all these folks getting their information from? Well, it starts with the assessment reports that are issued periodically by the UN. The US government, the UK government does them occasionally as well. The penultimate assessment report was issued in 2014, AR5 by the UN IPCC. And as I mentioned, on August 9th, we had AR6. And then the US issues its national climate assessment every 4 years. The last came out in 2018 in 2 volumes, 2017, the Climate Science Special Report, and then the full rest of the report in 2018. The 5th one is expected in a couple years. When you read these reports, and I have, they say important and surprising things. But I can guarantee you that none of the people I showed you on the previous slide have ever read these reports.
Is already far beyond sustainability and all that that implies. We must take control of our environmental movement and our future from billionaires and their permanent war on planet Earth. They are not our friends. Less must be the new more. And instead of climate change, we must at long last accept that it's not the carbon dioxide molecule destroying the planet. It's us. It's not one thing, but everything we humans are doing. A human-caused apocalypse. If we get ourselves under control, all things are possible. And if we don't,
Thank you.